What's up, dudes? I'm the Dominicator, and in this video, I'm going to hypnotize you to become more dominant in social situations. As in all of my videos, you'll be asked to comment at the end while hypnotized, so go ahead and log into an account that you can use for that. Mute any distractions, and continue when you're ready. Alright, dudes, a little explanation first. Some of this is based on textbook psychology, but most of it on my own observation. There is no textbook psychology how-to guide for achieving social dominance. Now, this is a bit of a long explanation, but it's important to understand social dominance before you go about trying to achieve it. What is dominance? Being dominant means exerting control in social situations. Obviously, there is a continuum of control, and all members of a group, to some extent, possess control of the interaction. Some stand out more than others, though. Dominance is hierarchical. Dominance can be covert or overt. Covert dominance means that you have control even when you're not recognized as the dominant member of the group. You might achieve that through subtle influence, such as asking a relevant question but with certain hot words, so as to change the subject of conversation without appearing that it's your intent to do so. Sneaky. Or you might constrain yourself to one-on-one interactions. Try to influence members of the group individually rather than collectively. Overt dominance means you are recognized as dominant, as having control in a social situation and exercising that control. This is usually what people mean when they refer to dominance. Now, how is overt dominance achieved? Well, as members of a group, we tend to hand over control to the person in the group who has demonstrated that they are the most competent at whatever task meets the group's objective. Normally, groups don't have serious objectives, but they do have objectives. Now, it might be to entertain, in which the funniest person becomes the dominant member. It might be to interest the group, in which the best conversationalist becomes dominant. In purely social situations, the most competent person is the one who is most socially skilled, because with those social skills, they can effectively drive the interaction, and this is why socially skilled people typically become dominant. Dominance can be continual or temporary. Continual dominance means a constant state of control or steering the social interaction and decision-making within a group. Once dominance is achieved, it tends to extend beyond the scope of how it was established. For example, a socially skilled person may be given control for decision-making even if they aren't the best qualified to do so. This is because people who follow them don't necessarily separate their social competencies from their decision-making competencies, but some people do. Now, in certain situations, people can achieve temporary dominance, particularly when there's a competency that falls outside the scope of the dominant member's ability. In a group of friends, a comedian might dominate a group when the focus is on entertainment, but when a fire breaks out in the room, a firefighter might seize the dominant position. Power exchanges like this happen all the time. Note that dominance is not simply the result of status. Picture a millionaire CEO in a gathering of people. Well, it's quite possible for a low-status comedian to end up as the center of attention and the driving force behind the interaction. The comedian is dominant because he is exercising control. He is overtly dominant because members of the group recognize his competency to entertain. Several things signal competency. In social situations, social performance is the number one signal of social competency. Confidence is another, but it is largely secondary. It's mostly support for a social performance act. Confidence is required in order to muster this courage to socially perform and to perform well, but skill is more important. And so this is why you'll see advice that certain gesticulations like lying back or taking up space and such things are important for establishing dominance, because these are signals of confidence. Confidence is a signal of competence. Dominance can be achieved and maintained with three different attitudes: agreeable, assertive, and aggressive. When the dominant member's communication style intends to elicit a positive response from the group, he is agreeable. If he intends to elicit a negative response, he is aggressive. And if a neutral response, he is assertive. Dominance doesn't necessarily mean that people will automatically like you, nor does it mean that you have to act like a drill sergeant. The best and most sustainable attitude is an agreeable one. The reason is that the people who are agreeable are pleasant to hand over control to because they use it in a way that pleases the group. But being agreeable isn't the only way. The appropriate attitude to use is situational, and the best example of this is when you have competitors in the social dominance hierarchy in the group. Now, as a general rule, the more dominant you become, the more submissive others will tend to be, but some are not quite thrilled to give up their control of the interaction. They'll try to engage in what's called one-upsmanship. They will take jabs at you. This one-upsmanship is what most people who seek dominance are afraid of, because they don't know how to deal with it. And the best attitude for the situation is an assertive one. Your social performance ability is being tested. Your ability to downregulate your emotions and to think on your feet is being tested. Somehow you have to keep your cool and respond in a way that is not self-defensive, but that disarms your opposition. In other words, you need to make a comeback. It's better to go on the offensive than to defend yourself, and it's better to risk offending your opposition than to be too agreeable. The best types of situations for an aggressive attitude are when you are warranted in taking the nuclear option of cutting ties with a person. But it's also used by more surly people when expressing dominance over those who are perceived to be lower status or less socially competent. These people are called bullies. You might call to mind some aggressive dominant males, but they're not well liked, even if they are respected, and their position of dominance is stressful to maintain. You don't need aggression in ordinary circumstances. So this is a lot of information, that's all good. It puts dominance into perspective, but what steps do you need to take in order to achieve dominance? Well, first, though it hasn't been alluded to before, the number one thing you need is content. You have to have something to say. If the context is a conversation, you need a point. If it's to persuade, you need an outcome to pursue. If it's to entertain, you need a joke. In the ideal situation, you'd have an endless supply of these things. When you run out of content, you're no longer able to take the initiative, and you no longer have any leverage to drive the conversation. The best way that you can generate content is to learn to think out loud. The second thing that you need is skill. Depending on what it is that you're trying to do, you need to be skillful enough in the delivery of that content in order to win respect for your social competencies. You need to be more interesting or persuasive or funny in order to be seen as these things. The best way to get there is to study others and to practice. The third thing that you need is emotional regulation. Most importantly, you need to be able to downregulate anxiety. Dominant people are usually confident. Confidence is your own estimation of the probability you will succeed, and you need that in order to bootstrap your social performance act. You need to be able to downregulate all of your negative emotions very quickly whenever anybody takes a jab at you. You have to maintain composure and to be able to think of a comeback quickly. If you lack in content or skill because you've been a socially inept nerd all your life, then my recommendation to you is to approach this all as if it were a focus of study, and that it's your job to learn enough content and deliver it with enough skill to be able to carry on an interaction. Emotional regulation is something that you can achieve through meditation or hypnosis or practice. And as for the role of hypnosis, it can help you come up with content by helping you to think loud. And for developing skill, it can draw your attention to skilled people and help you notice how they interact with others. And for downregulating your negative emotions, it can help you to achieve stoicism and help you to react appropriately, even when somebody tests you. So dudes, becoming dominant is so much more complex than all this, but this is a starting point, so let's get down to it. Now to begin, I want you to focus on the circle pattern in front of you, and I want you to watch the circles as they're moving inward. Just watch the circles and focus on the sound of my voice. And continue watching, and begin to breathe deeply And now I want you to picture and imagine and visualize. Picture, imagine, and visualize that the circles in front of you are just like the stream of thoughts in your mind, and that your thoughts are moving just like these circles. And as you continue to focus on the circles in front of you, you'll find that you steadily and slowly just begin to relax to the sound of my voice. You might find that the sound of my voice is a very pleasant sound, and that as I continue speaking, you can feel the muscle fibers in your body just begin to melt and relax. You can imagine that your muscle fibers are just like strings on a violin, and that as I continue speaking, they loosen with each and every word that I say. And I want you to continue looking at the circle pattern as you relax. And I want you to imagine that the circles in front of you are linked to your thoughts, and that as your thoughts are flowing, so too are these circles flowing. And as you continue to relax your body, and as you continue to watch the circles in front of you, I want you to begin to relax your thoughts. And as you relax your thoughts, you notice that they will flow more freely and more creatively. As you relax your mind, it is not that your thoughts are necessarily becoming slower, but that your thoughts are becoming more relaxed and much more laid back. And as you do relax your thoughts, so too will your body relax. And as you relax your body, and as you continue breathing very deeply, and simply actively relaxing all of the muscles in your body, your thoughts will also relax. And as you do that, fixate your attention on the sound of my voice, and notice all of the little qualities in the sound of my voice. You might notice how smooth and pleasant the sound of my voice is. You might notice the choice of words, and I want you to look at the choice of words that I'm using, and think about those word choices. You might even notice the particular vocalization that I'm using, and the melody of my words. And you might fixate your attention so much on the sound of my voice and on the words that I'm using that you might even forget that I'm speaking to you at all. And that's just fine, because a part of your mind will be able to listen and comprehend my words and relax to my words. And as you notice all of these little qualities about my words and the sound of my voice, I want you to allow these things to affect you. Allow yourself to relax. Allow all of the stresses and tensions in your muscles to just melt away like caramel. And I want you to picture and imagine and visualize that there are little tiny butterflies inside of your stomach. And perhaps you have anxieties about going to a nice and wonderful and deep state of hypnosis. And I want you to picture and imagine and visualize these as butterflies in your stomach. And I want you to take in a very deep breath. And as you breathe in nice and wonderful, clean air, you'll draw these butterflies into your breath. Draw the butterflies from your stomach into your lungs. And as you breathe out, you'll breathe out all of these butterflies into the air. And the more that you breathe very deeply, the more deeply that you breathe, the more butterflies that you'll catch and that you'll breathe out through your breath. And the more that you fixate on my voice, the sound of my voice and my words, the more easily that you'll be able to relax, as my words are meant to relax you. And notice all of the little qualities of my voice, and the more that you notice, the more that you'll be able to relax. And as you continue to stare into the circles, the more that your thoughts will relax, and the slower that your thoughts will become. Now eventually your thoughts are going to begin to slow down so much that you won't even be thinking at all, and that's just fine, because you can continue listening to the sound of my voice and allowing my words to guide you down into a nice and wonderful, deeply relaxed state of mind in which you can simply accept my suggestions to become more dominant in social interactions. And as your thoughts slow down, you feel a wonderful wave of relaxation with each and every word that I say. And as your thoughts slow down, you feel nice and wonderful waves of pleasure all throughout your body and all throughout your mind, as the mind simply relaxes, completely and totally relaxes. And you'll find that all of the cares and worries and anxieties that you're having throughout the day are just floating out through your breath, as each and every time that you breathe in all of the butterflies from your stomach, and as you breathe out, you let all of those butterflies just flutter away, and you relax even more deeply as all of your emotions, all of your negative emotions just flutter away. Now very soon I'm going to count from 1 to 5. When I reach 5, then I'm going to snap my fingers. When I do, your thoughts are just going to stop, come to a complete and total stop. I want them to come to a complete and total stop, and the stream of thoughts that you're having is just going to stop whenever I snap my fingers. And when that happens, I want you to experience wonderful waves of pleasure throughout your mind. And also, you'll find that your attention will become completely and totally fixated on the sound of my voice, and that all of the butterflies in your stomach will be completely gone. And you'll find that you're able to completely and totally focus on my words and the sound of my voice. Now beginning with 1, as you just continue to relax, continuing to relax down to a nice and wonderful and deeply relaxed state of mind. And 2, as you simply focus on my words and the sound of my voice, you're going down into a nice and wonderful state of mind in which you can just shut down all of your thoughts and all of your worries and fixate on the sound of my voice. And 3, just allow all of your cares and worries to just float away, completely float away. And 4, we're almost there, almost into a nice and wonderful and deeply relaxed state of mind. And 5, sleep all the way down, just sleep. And now that you're in a very nice, deeply relaxed state of mind, I want you to picture and imagine that you are with a group of your buddies. And I want you to notice, while you're having a conversation with your buddies, all of the opportunities that you have to say something. And I want you to notice that even though your mind is completely blank, as your thoughts have stopped, that running in the background, you do have a stream of thoughts. And I want you to visualize that unconscious stream of thoughts running in the back of your mind. Your thoughts, even right now, are being pressed through a precise, high-definition filter, just like water, and they're being filtered into a completely pure substance. And the substance is what you normally communicate, and it is the only thing that you allow yourself to say. But now, it is time to make another filter. I want you to visualize that there is now a filter which is right inside of your vocal cords. It is a very coarse filter. It doesn't filter much, but it will filter all of your private thoughts and the things that you don't need to say. But it is much, much less inhibited. And now imagine that each and every thought that you think could go in either direction, and that you have a switch in the middle. Any time that you want to, you can flick the switch and your thoughts can go through the coarse filter and straight out of your mouth. It could go through the coarse filter, straight into spoken words, and right into your social environment, and that would be just perfect. You may be afraid that your new filter will not filter enough, but visualize that the more that you use this filter, the more accurate it becomes. It does not filter more, but rather it filters more accurately. And the more that you rely on this filter and allow your thoughts to stream directly out into your social environment through this new filter, the stronger that it becomes, the more accurate that it becomes. It is just like a muscle. It becomes faster, stronger, and more flexible with use. And all you have to do is start using it. And now the more that you visualize this filter inside of your vocal cords, the more real that it becomes. The more real that it becomes, the more that you visualize it. At first it will feel awkward, but the more that you use it, the more comfortable it becomes, and the more confident that you feel about using it. It may even be more comfortable than using your old filter in social situations eventually, rather than remaining in a state of quiet. Because once your new filter becomes strong and flexible and fast and accurate, you will have everything that you need to feel comfortable about thinking out loud. And now I want you to notice that even if you have all the thoughts and the content in the world right at your vocal cords, that some skill would make you feel even more comfortable. Your thoughts are like music, and your vocal cords are just like an instrument. And now what you need is the skill to play that instrument. Your verbalization or your word choice, your vocalization, the melody of your voice, and your visual communication such as gestures and eye contact all play a role. And you may know others around you who have an excellent skill at playing the instrument that is their vocal cords. And I want you to notice all of the little nuances in their voices and in their gestures and in their word choice. And the more that you notice these things, the more easily that you'll be able to pick them up yourself. The more attention that you draw to them, the more easily that you'll be able to learn these things. And so when you encounter somebody who is socially dominant, you can feel good about sitting back and studying them for a while. The more that you study them, the more that you learn. The more that you learn, the more pleasant that you feel. You don't have to feel awkward at all about being quiet in a group for a while, because your attention can be so fixated on the dominant people, and your mind can be so busy absorbing all of the skill that they have, that you won't even be worried at all about how quiet you're being. If anybody asks, you can instantly charm them by telling them that you're learning how to be a better conversationalist, or how to be funny from them. And as you develop your skill, and as you learn to channel content from the endless stream that is your thoughts, you will no doubt rise in dominance. And the more that you rise in dominance, the more that you rise in confidence. But you may be nervous about even beginning. You can picture, imagine, and visualize tiny little butterflies inside of your stomach. And now I want you to bring your focus onto these butterflies. And just imagine that by breathing deeply, you are drawing these butterflies into your breath. And whenever you breathe out, they'll just flutter away. Simply by breathing deeply and relaxing your muscles, you're causing all the butterflies to be drawn into your breath. And by exhaling completely, you're causing them to just be completely expelled, and they'll flutter away. And you can rest assured in knowing that the risk of talking and becoming more dominant is less than the risk of remaining silent, and that you often make others more comfortable by taking an equal, if not greater, share of the control in an interaction. And with that thought, you can relax a bit more easily. And even if you do happen to say or do something that others don't approve of, you can win their respect even more, because you're doing it for your own reasons, and you don't have to care about what other people think about it. In fact, sometimes the less that you care about what other people think, the more that they respect you, because they worry about what other people think of them, and they admire your individualism. And you can imagine that sometimes someone might take a jab at you, right at your insecurities, and you might imagine that that hurts. And yet I want you to notice that the reason the person is throwing a jab at you is because they are testing you. And I want you to imagine now knowing that they are only testing you, that whenever someone throws a jab at you, that instead of hurting you, it tickles. Every time that someone makes a joke that is supposed to hurt your feelings, it tickles. Because they're trying to hurt your feelings, and you're like a giant that is having tiny little rocks thrown at it. Their attempt to poke holes in your insecurities is so laughable and so transparent that you can't help but laugh at it. And you might even find that they are insecure about the very thing that they are joking about. And you can very easily brush it off, because it tickles. And the more easily that you do so, the more easily you'll be able to completely melt and dissolve whatever insecurity was being aimed at. And that's because once you realize that you're able to respond with a sense of humor, it no longer becomes an insecurity. Now soon, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. When I reach 5, I'm going to snap my fingers, and your eyes will snap open, and you'll be brought back into the waking world. And whenever you wake up, I want you to leave a comment, a very assertive comment, that says, "I will be more dominant." And whenever you leave that comment, you'll feel a burst of confidence surging into you, because you know that to be true. You know, whenever you leave that comment, that you will be able to learn all of the skills in order to become socially dominant. And that will leave you with a wonderful feeling of confidence. Whenever I reach 5 and snap my fingers, you're going to feel a wonderful lemony lime electric sensation coursing all throughout your body and your skin, and a nice spine tingling sensation all the way from the very bottom of your tailbone to the very tip top of your head. And you feel a wonderful and empowering sense of encouragement whenever you wake up to go out into the world and start becoming socially dominant. Now, beginning with 1, as you begin to feel yourself lifting back up, and you begin to feel a stream of thoughts that's beginning to surge through your mind. And 2, you're coming back up. And 3, halfway there, becoming more aware of your surroundings and all of the things around you. And even as you wake back up, you'll find that you experience no butterflies in your stomach. You'll find that you'll be completely relaxed, completely calm and mellow, even as you wake up. And 4, almost there, almost completely wide awake. And 5, wide awake. Alright, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and check out Dominicator.com to visit my t-shirt store, commission a video, or to schedule an appointment with me to get hypnotized. Catch you later, dudes.